Fort Stewart active shooter incident. A wake-up call for military base security. On August 6, 2025, Fort Stewart, a sprawling U.S. Army base in Georgia, was thrust into chaos as reports of an active shooter sent shockwaves through the military community and beyond. The incident, which unfolded in the early hours of the morning, has reignited urgent conversations about base security, mental health, and the evolving nature of threats within military installations. Round pushpin the scene. What happened at Fort Stewart? At approximately 6:30 a.m. local time, gunfire erupted inside one of Fort Stewart's administrative buildings. Soldiers and civilian personnel scrambled for cover as emergency alerts blared across the base. Within minutes, military police and emergency response teams were deployed to contain the situation. Eyewitnesses described a scene of confusion and fear. "We heard 3 loud pops, then people started running," said one soldier who was near the building. "It was surreal. This is supposed to be one of the safest places in the country." The shooter, identified as a junior enlisted soldier, was reportedly experiencing severe emotional distress prior to the incident. After a tense standoff lasting nearly 45 minutes, the individual was apprehended without further casualties. One person was injured and is currently receiving treatment at Wynn Army Community Hospital. Shield rapid response. How the military contained the threat. Fort Stewart's emergency protocols were activated immediately. The base went into lockdown, with all gates sealed and personnel instructed to shelter in place. Military police, trained in active shooter scenarios, executed a coordinated sweep of the building and surrounding areas. The Army's Criminal Investigation Division, CID, and FBI were quickly brought in to assess the situation. Their preliminary findings suggest that the shooter acted alone and that the incident was not linked to any broader terrorist threat. Major General Christopher Norrie, commanding general of the 3rd Infantry Division, praised the swift response. "Our teams acted with courage and precision. Their actions prevented a tragic situation from becoming far worse." Brain mental health in the military. A growing concern. While the investigation continues, attention has turned to the mental health challenges facing service members. The shooter had reportedly sought counseling in recent months, but was not flagged as a high-risk individual. This incident underscores a troubling trend: rising mental health issues among active duty personnel. According to a 2024 Pentagon report, suicide rates among soldiers have increased by 15% over the past 2 years, and cases of depression and anxiety are at an all-time high. Experts argue that while the military has made strides in destigmatizing mental health care, systemic barriers remain. Long wait times, limited access to specialized care, and fear of career repercussions often prevent soldiers from seeking help. Dr. Angela Ramirez, a clinical psychologist specializing in military trauma, notes, "We need to move beyond reactive care. Proactive mental health support, embedded within units and leadership culture, is essential." Locked with key base security. Are protocols keeping up? Fort Stewart is one of the largest Army installations in the eastern United States, home to over 20,000 soldiers. Its security infrastructure includes surveillance systems, armed patrols, and strict access controls. Yet, incidents like this raise questions about internal threats, those that originate from within the ranks. Military bases have historically focused on external threats, but recent events suggest a shift is needed. In 2019, a shooting at Naval Air Station Pensacola left 3 dead and prompted a re-evaluation of base security nationwide. Fort Hood, Texas, has also faced multiple internal security breaches over the past decade. Security analysts recommend enhanced behavioral monitoring, anonymous reporting systems, and regular threat assessments to identify potential risks early. "Technology can help," says retired Colonel James Whitaker, "but human intelligence, knowing your people, is just as critical." Speaking head voices from the community. Shock, support, and solidarity. The Fort Stewart community, including families, veterans, and local residents, has rallied in support of those affected. Candlelight vigils, prayer circles, and mental health workshops have been organized in the days following the incident. Social media has become a platform for both grief and advocacy. Hashtags like #FortStewartStrong and #MentalHealthMatters have trended regionally, amplifying calls for reform and support. One spouse of a deployed soldier shared, "We live with the fear of what happens overseas. Now we're afraid of what's happening here. It's heartbreaking." Chart increasing the bigger picture. What comes next? The Fort Stewart shooting is not just a tragic event, it's a catalyst for change. The Department of Defense has announced a comprehensive review of mental health services and base security protocols across all branches. Policy proposals include mandatory mental health screenings every 6 months, increased funding for on-base counseling centers, enhanced training for commanders to identify at-risk personnel, expansion of anonymous reporting tools. Congress is also expected to hold hearings on military mental health and internal security threats later this year. Dove conclusion. From tragedy to transformation. The events at Fort Stewart serve as a sobering reminder that even the most fortified institutions are not immune to internal crises. But they also highlight the resilience of the military community and the urgent need for systemic change. As investigations continue and reforms take shape, one thing is clear. Protecting those who serve requires more than armor and arms. It demands empathy, vigilance, and a commitment to holistic well-being.